Dynasty. Tell us when to go.
3, 2, 1. From Discovery Bay, we are live.
Welcome back to Backyard Dynasty. We are not in a backyard today. We are actually in the Bay of Discoveries of California. Discovery Bay coming to you live. I am Cam, aka Scanny.
It's your one and only. It's your one and only Fancy Sons, aka Willpower.
And it's your boy Fleet is here.
And today we got a lot of good content coming your way. We have some big splashes in the NFL. We have Ezekiel Elliott going to New England. We have Dalvin Cook signing with the Jets. We're going to talk about some hot takes this season in the NFL. A lot of hot takes coming your way.
A lot has changed in the last week.
It is
going to be a
lot
spicy one.
has
It really
changed.
has.
We got some new
It's gonna be a
players,
spicy
new
one.
places, and we're going to talk to some GMs of this fantasy league that we have this year.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start off with Dalvin Cook because we've wondered all offseason, where will he go? And now he lands in New York with the Jets, with Breece Hall. What's the fantasy impact here with Dalvin Cook in New York? What are you guys thinking?
Well, the obvious one is definitely Breece Hall takes a hit, right? You get Dalvin Cook that shows up in town, and now he's a dominant early down running back, which is what surprises me because you got Breece Hall there. Now, how's that distribution going to go? Is Breece Hall going to get a lot of those touches, or is Dalvin Cook going to do it? Are they going to do series by series? It's one of those things where you go into the draft being unknown, so you almost just stay away from them, right? Like for me, I'm officially out on both of them.
Yeah.
Going into this draft tomorrow that we have, I'm not touching any of them. Just because I'm like, that split is so unknown. You don't know what it's going to be, and then all of a sudden, what if somebody gets hot? What if somebody gets injured? You don't want to be on the wrong side of that coin flip.
No, for real. So as a former Breece owner, I drafted Breece his rookie year, and I got to see what greatness came from that young man. Oh my goodness. I thought I had a future keeper on my hands until I got hesitant with the ACL. Okay. Now Breece is from the sources from inside of the organization. He has been cleared. He has been fully cleared. So this man's back. But the way I think it's going to play out is I think Dalvin is going to have a fire maybe first 4 weeks of the season. 4 to 6 weeks. He's going to be fire. Because if you have a player like Dalvin, you're going to, like, why would you take the expense of rushing your well, he was a third round pick, but rushing your marquee guy in Breece Hall onto the field to make productivity when you have a guy like Dalvin Cook in the background? So it's like you probably want to use Dalvin as your one in your 1-2 punch to make a solid statement to the start of the season. But once Breece kind of gets back into the flow, gets his muscles loose and gets the juices flowing, he's going to maybe take a more significant role throughout this season.
There's a lot of depth in New York right now between running backs. You have Dalvin.
Yeah.
And you got Dalvin, you have Breece Hall, and the receiver end, you have Lazard now, who obviously knows
Cobb's
Rodgers.
in there too.
They have got Lazard, they've got Garrett Wilson, they've got a lot of young players, they've got some veterans. This team is a team that can really be one of those like premier fantasy football production type teams. The Jets, they might be up there now with some of those. I don't want to get crazy, but the Chiefs in recent years have produced a lot of fantasy points.
Isn't it crazy though? But isn't it crazy like how much it's a little off-season movement? It changes everything.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, the Jets, it was like you didn't own
7
anyone.
and 10.
You didn't own anyone damn near from that team, man. It was like Garrett Wilson if you took a flyer on him as a rookie. Outside of that, it was like you're not touching Zach Wilson. You're not touching anybody else there, and that was the only fantasy relevance. Now this year, it's like every single position could potentially be a breakout candidate just because Rodgers is there. Yeah. Really quick for you guys, too. Right now, live rankings, draft trends on ESPN. Breece Hall going 56. So let's say it's mid-6th round, right? Dalvin Cook, 91st.
That's not too
going
far.
in the 9th round.
That's not too far.
I would take a flyer on Dalvin Cook in that range.
Yeah.
Where he's going right now, I think that 8th, 9th, 10th range, I think he's worth a flyer.
He is the healthier player, though. So he's the one that's going to get run early.
That's fair.
And also, if he stays healthy, he's going to have a chance to get familiarized with the offense while Breece is slightly getting worked back in there. And but it's also the perspective, too, because those two are coming from a standpoint of, like, as long as our team wins and gets plays to get us to the Super Bowl, that's all we care about. They don't care who's scoring the touchdowns. They just want someone doing it. So it's like, they're not gonna care about who gets the workload, but it's just this is one of those situations. It's just so up in the air because you just have to see how it plays out rather than like you could make either assumption and go either ladder. Apologies, but you can go either ladder, but it's just the fact of like you truly don't know what's going on inside of Robert Saleh's head.
And in a way, I mean, I don't mean to cut you off, but in a way, this reminds me a little bit of last year, like the Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon situation.
Dude, I was on the ladder. I mean, it wasn't a good situation overall, but like you definitely got the better end of it than I did.
And you can find production to both guys because AJ was like the goal line back, but Aaron Jones he didn't score as many touchdowns.
He could do both.
Aaron Jones, I mean, no, not Aaron Jones. AJ Dillon won me a championship, bro. In another league I was in, aside from this one, for my work.
How dare you?
Like he literally. Is that the doorbell?
Shout out to Bird showing
The
up.
pizza's here.
Oh, maybe the Taco Bell's here. Shout out to the boys here. We're in
It's
Discovery
either a Crunch
Bay
Wrap
right now.
Supreme or it's Bird. One of the two
That
is
man
here.
took off.
Just enter the chat.
That's gonna be nice to look back at. That man.
Absolutely.
I need to time his reaction time there.
That's what you hear right now in the chat, probably on from Rules microphone feedback. But let's talk about it a little bit.
Really quick though, let me say this before we move on, just because we're touching on this topic. This situation reminds me very heavily of the Denver running back situation.
Yeah.
You got Javonte Williams there. You got Samaje P. Ryan, right? And if you Joe Mixon owners,
Crazy.
close your eyes and don't listen to this, but he stole so much from Mixon last year as a fantasy owner. And I think that in Denver, that's kind of what Dalvin Cook can be for Breece Hall. He's kind of be that guy that all of a sudden on the random goal line run, they're gonna put him in.
Second
Almost a
goal.
Jamal Williams type of feel
Yeah.
where all of a sudden DeAndre Swift brought the whole team all the way down, right?
Right.
Had a big
touchdown
chunk play,
vulture
big chunk
type
play.
player inside
Exactly.
the 10. You know?
Exactly. But the thing that surprises me the most is that they really cashed him out.
Right.
They paid him a good amount of money. You're telling me that he's not going to have a decent role in that team?
Right.
I mean, he's going to have to handle some carries going over there if he's getting close to 10 million.
True. And I want to
Shout
shift
out
our
Nest.
focus real quick because I was going to. Nest joins us.
The
I wanna-
reigning
the
champion
reigning
in the
champion.
building.
Take that
In the
jersey
side.
off.
The
You know you're not a real
reigning
fan.
champ. The reigning 2023.
What up, brother?
23? No, the reigning 2022
Yeah, look at him.
champ.
Come into the camera really quick. Come on.
Uh-huh.
You can have a look at
The
your defending
reigning
champion.
2022
Right here.
champion
Look at your defending
of the
champion.
Don't Let Donut 7 Pete.
Yeah, nah, for real.
He put
It was,
the end to
it
it.
was successful.
And it was-
Hey,
it finally
Bernardo
put it to an
Silva,
end. It's
that's
the start-
respect. That's respect before you go down. You
It's
know?
the start of a new era.
Yeah.
It
But
is the
before we
start
hop
of a
into the
new
frame,
era.
we wanted to shift focus real quick. Another role, kind of like Dalvin, I guess.
Yeah.
I want to ask the question: what is the role of Ezekiel Elliott now in the Patriots? If you're a guy looking at Ramondre Stevenson, how much of an impact does that make on your fantasy value of Ramondre? Because he was a guy that was probably going in the top 15 running backs before Zeke signed, and now Ramondre, he was kind of the only sheriff in town. Now he's got a co-conspirator who.
Ramondre currently going 41st right now in ESPN, down 4.2 slots since the Zeke signing. For me, I think it's kind of an 80-20 thing, right? Zeke joined, he might take some stuff here and there, but I really think that Zeke's kind of not going to have a huge role in the Patriots. I think Ramondre still holds his value as an early down and even some goal line work. For me, I think I would still draft him around the same area. Maybe a couple slots lower, but we're talking 4 slots. That's not that big of a difference.
No, it's not.
It's really
on
not.
The flip side
Jonathan
of that,
Taylor's down 7.4. Now we're talking.
Yeah.
Now we're talking.
On the flip side of that, where would you take Zeke at? Because is he someone you might go a late round flyer on? Because if something happens, God forbid, we don't wish injuries on anybody. If something happens to Ramondre Stevenson, now Zeke is kind of the goal line back in the 3-down back for New England. Where do you take?
Absolutely.
Do you take a flyer?
He's
on
a late
Zeke?
round flyer for me.
Yeah.
Late round flyer for me. He's not anything where I'm going to sacrifice a flex position or a flex depth on my team to reach for Zeke just because I know Ramondre's there. And he's pretty steady. I mean, he's a good size back.
Right.
He's somebody that can play a good amount of games. He's not going to get injured. I could see it not affecting Ramondre's availability too much.
Right.
The way I always come at it, and it's kind of messed up because I sound like one of those owners, but it's like you always take When I looked up the sizing of these two backs, like, don't get me wrong, like Zeke is 6 foot, Ramondre is 6 foot. Zeke is 225, Ramondre is 227. You feel me? But Ramondre is 25 and Zeke is 28.
Mileage.
So there's some more wear and tear on those tires. So it's really and truly like you take the younger back because they're more spry. They have some pep in their step, and like they just simply have more juice flowing because they're younger.
And running backs, they age like dog years.
I mean,
man.
dude,
I
when you
swear.
like
running
when
backs.
when your body takes on that much wear and tear, it's like what they do in a singular season is immaculate from just to say for itself. But when it comes to when you do it year after year, I mean, we've seen downfalls of running backs. Like we've seen Todd Gurley, the fall down of Todd Gurley. Like I wouldn't say Le'Veon Bell because that's more so contract issues. But like Todd Gurley, we have like LaDainian Tomlinson, but like I mean, he's still a Hall of Famer regardless. Yeah. Leonard Fournette, I would even say that's like there was like steep incline from when he went from Jacksonville to Tampa. But
poor Le'Veon. Talk about a man that just took the fall for the cause.
Le'Veon owner for all those years.
Yeah. Hey, he didn't help too much with the results. That's all I'll say.
Running back still getting done dirty.
Yeah, no, but I mean, Le'Veon, like we've talked about in previous pods, it's like he was the fall guy. He was the guy that finally took the stand, right? And then he lost out on the money. And now the whole wave of standing up for running backs is happening now, right? You had a whole Zoom call where they're all banding together talking about, let's talk about this. But the thing for me with the running backs, why didn't they make noise when the CBA was being agreed on? I heard nothing. I heard nothing. When that CBA was being negotiated, there was no running backs going, I'm not supporting this because we're not getting our due diligence. We're not getting our right amounts in the CBA. Nobody said anything. We didn't hear anything. All of a sudden, it was crickets during the whole thing. Well, we just want to play ball. Now people getting franchise tagged 10.8. They don't want 10.8. They don't want 10.1. Even though whatever it is, now they're making noise. They should have made that noise when the negotiations was going on.
Right.
But also, like, I feel like it was just they weren't that tapped in to it. Like, I feel but to an extent, I mean, when you have such a generalized group of people getting into something, like it's hard for everyone to stay locked into the details, but like there's so many different positions in football that get treated differently. And so treated differently in a sense of like just the cap hit. Like, you feel me? Like you have to budget somewhere from the other end. But when I don't know what or who was paying attention so specifically to that position, maybe no one, maybe someone within the new CBA agreement, but it's such like a niche position to where nobody was probably even looking into that. You know what I mean? To that specific detail, because out of all the positions you play within football, like out of all 22 different possible positions, like running back was just overlooked. I mean, it's possible, but like, and I'm not on the side of the owners. I'm really not, but I understand the complexity of it because it's like you have to budget somewhere. If you want that Lamar Jackson, if you want that Deshaun Watson to pay him $230 million, guaranteed, fully guaranteed, like that, like that's a lot of money. Not by any means of NBA or MLB, excuse me. But
a
it's
loose
like
burp on the pod. Absolutely.
Look at it.
Shame.
Go ahead.
But you know, it's like, but it's just the complexity of the situation, and this is what kind of shows that the league is an evolving thing.
Yeah.
But
it doesn't help.
They deserve their money.
It doesn't. Not to cut you off. It doesn't help that you have a guy, and I've mentioned this on previous podcasts. But Isaiah Pacheco comes in, 7th round pick, and absolutely. I mean, he didn't dominate the NFL, but he did what the Chiefs needed him to do and more. He was a really serviceable back. He's not a big guy either. He was a very serviceable back.
Runner.
In the context of what they did, he was a championship level running back. He was exactly what they needed from him on the early downs, right?
I dropped him right before he got popping. I dropped him.
And then Bird Nest, who is the defending champ,
rode him to a championship.
Started McKinnon and Pacheco against us.
Absolutely brutal.
Absolutely murdered us, bro. Murdered us.
No, he literally, bro.
No, I mean, it's crazy. The thing with the running backs is it's like it's getting devalued, but at the same time, it's like they still help you win those championships during those rough weeks. Yeah, during those rough weeks. Speaking of running backs, let me pivot to something really quick. Alvin Kamara
Oh, no.
Talk about a guy that was probably being talk about a guy.
Talk
right?
about a guy.
Chris Collinsworth
Talk
enters
about
the
a guy. You want
chat.
to talk about a guy that was being drafted probably really low in early drafts, and then all of a sudden he gets handed a 3-game suspension. He gets drafted higher. Isn't that crazy? You find out news that he's going to miss games guaranteed, and people draft him higher because 3 games was not enough. And
It
they're
wasn't.
like,
No.
3 games is nothing, bro.
Right.
3 game. We've seen it in our fantasy leagues in years past. If the 3 games basically don't matter, bro, it sets the tone.
Mm-hmm. No.
After week 3, when the bye weeks start coming into play, when you get injuries, when you really start to find out who people are that year,
Right.
that's when things shift. Because most of the times in fantasy leagues, which is crazy, the team who was the best throughout the regular season rarely wins the playoffs. Because it's all about the teams that just make the playoffs and are the best when it's the playoff weeks.
And that's what makes me realize it. That's what made me realize it was the long haul that mattered.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter about
It's like a baseball season, bro.
Yeah.
Fantasy football is like a baseball season.
Dude.
You got to be hottest when it comes October.
You got to be hot at the right times.
Right.
Like, I had a good point, but I lost my train of thought.
No, but yeah, you got to be playing the right football at the right time.
You do.
Like last year, I had Devontae Adams. I had multiple other people who in the playoff weeks came up short. Didn't do anything. I lost in the first round. Person I went on to win had Jerick McKinnon and Isaiah Pacheco playing side by side. He just happened to find them at that right time in the season.
against the Broncos.
It's a 1-2 punch, and he's catching out of the backfield.
That was a mess.
I'm talking about McKinnon, right? PPR
Right.
like hog. And then you get Pacheco in those short down and the first and second down, and then in goal line work all the time. He had all the outlets. He had all the easy handoffs at the goal line. That's why Nest won. That was one of the biggest reasons. He had Jared Goff starting. A lot of y'all remember
Hey,
don't
no
remember that.
notable
disrespect
streamer.
to Jared Goff. He was a dog this year.
Yeah.
Last year in fantasy, he was really good. He would blow up and then he'd have decent weeks, but in the playoffs, he was just steady,
It
right?
was the equivalent of like
Right.
a Geno Smith.
Right, exactly.
A Geno
exactly.
plus. Geno plus.
He was Geno plus, I
Geno
would say.
plus.
Geno
Yeah.
plus.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I would say.
I want to refer to a vine real quick. That's going to lead to a question. And
Throwback.
The vine is
One with the vine.
hot. That's my vine. It's hot. We're in Discovery Bay. It's 95 degrees outside. It's
yeah.
It is,
But not in
hot.
here. Not in here.
Yeah,
Don't
we're
let him
camping
fool you. I'm
inside.
not wearing a hoodie.
Air,
in
air
95
conditioning here in
95
Discovery
degree.
Bay. But that is hot. It leads me to a question. And the question is,
What's your hot take, huh?
what is your hot take? We've got 3 hot takes on tap for you right now. And we're going to start with Fleet. Give me
All
a
right.
hot take for this
Let's hear it.
fantasy season.
Fleet's hot take of the year right now. You guys ready for this?
I'm ready.
I've got none other than Damian Pierce, top 10 fantasy running back this year. Damian Pierce, mark it down right now.
Nothing like a little DP.
August 18th, I've got Damian Pierce, top 10 running back campaign this year in fantasy. He was amazing as a rookie last year. He was about as stable as they come, and I was really high on Damian Pierce going into the year. And then he put together some really good performances, and was super consistent. He's one of those running backs that you can just plug and play, every single week. And Damian Pierce was one of those. I expect him to build on that coming into the next year. And I think a top 10 performance, a little bit of a breakout season, if you would, coming from Damian Pierce this year.
How did you acquire Damian Pierce, if I might ask?
I don't know. I think it might have been dropped by Scanny.
Might have been dropped in the preseason.
All I know is you're looking at the GOAT. You're looking at the GOAT right here, okay? GOAT of waiver wire, GOAT of draft, GOAT of everything.
This man's a
And-
vulture.
throat goat.
He's a.
Wow.
I mean, you said a goat of
That's
everything.
low. That's low
You said
even
goat
for
of
Scanny.
everything. You know, there's a lot of different goats out
That's
there.
low even for Scanny.
LBC
Hasn't
rare
won
appearance.
a ring since he was in high school, by the way.
Wow.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Don't
From the
react.
guy that never
Don't
won a
react,
ring.
Fancy. Don't react. Yeah,
How many
don't-
playoff appearances he got?
He had his first one last year, by the way. Just a fact check.
Yeah. So just
I mean, there's a first for everything, and at least the first came. You know,
It is.
that's an achievement within itself, a milestone. Now we're coming to the fucking shit.
wow.
Yeah. Yeah,
bleep coming for you.
I'm
on
on
the
y'all
podcast
ass.
here.
I'm
Look at
on
him.
y'all ass.
San Lorenzo Grizzly in the
Yo,
house.
crazy.
Look
the
at 'em.
San
Don't ever,
Lorenzo
don't ever,
Grizzly.
don't ever. Oh my God, don't ever.
San Lorenzo in the building.
Rebels. One of the very last class that graduated as Rebels. It's not that deep though. Let's get on.
Now go Grizz. Go Grizz.
Hot take, Will. What you got for us?
My hot take, I would have to say, sorry.
From
Text
one
text from
Grizzly
sister.
to another.
My my hot take is that
John Morant.
Justin Fields will be a top 5 quarterback.
Ooh, I like that.
Justin Fields will be a top 5 fantasy
I do like
quarterback.
that.
Fields.
Do you like
Top
that?
5 fantasy quarterback. With the addition of the new weapons that he's gotten this year, not one and only DJ Moore. We've seen what magic they can do already. They had a hot play that popped off in one of their preseason games. DJ Moore is, I would say, somewhat equivalent to, in play style, a Deebo Samuel. If you get that man out in space, it's going to he's going to make the difference on your team. Like, he's going to make the difference on your team of what he can do with space. And second year with Chase Claypool, it was a mid-season trade for the last year by the trade deadline. Chase Claypool, you got that big body receiver that you can build chemistry with. Cole Kmet is a young and hot tight end on the market right now. He's an up-and-coming guy. And just this offense within itself catered around Fields' abilities to run and also get a good throw in the play action pass. It's going to be something to watch, and it's going to be an interesting storyline for this season. Scanny, what hot take you got?
Before we go to that, shout out to
Darnell
Cole
Mooney.
Kmet. Shout out to Cole Kmet getting Saquon Barkley money from the Bears here. He's going to be another.
Yo.
He said Cole Kmet. I'm like, I can't help but mention the fact that he got more per year than Saquon Barkley did. That's the state of the NFL right now. Isn't that insane?
How much did he get? A 50 mil in stack. Whoa.
More per year than Saquon Barkley.
A 4-year, 50
NFL,
million
tell
extension?
me what is wrong with your financial structure without telling me what's
12.5.
wrong with your financial structure.
12.5 average.
A role-playing tight end is making more than a star running back,
Absolutely
Saquon Barkley,
wild.
who is the only reason why the Giants have been relevant the last few
Saquon
years.
has more
Wild.
touchdowns than this man.
He's got more everything.
Yeah.
He does.
More everything.
And don't forget on that Bears squad, they got some guys. You mentioned Claypool. You mentioned DJ Moore. You didn't mention Darnell Mooney. And you did.
Darnell Mooney
They also have.
Sounds like
they-
it sounds like a salty fantasy.
also
owner.
got-
No, Darnell Mooney. I've
He
watched
had
him
him
for a
last
while.
year. He had him last
It's
year.
year after year. No, I
I
didn't
mean,
have
he's
him
like
on my roster.
25. He's not that old.
It's year after year. They're like, oh, he's gonna pop out. Oh, he's gonna pop out, and it's just flat and flat and flat. And I'm like, Darnell Mooney, bro. Like, come on, bro.
I mean, they've even got a St. Brown brother on that team.
What? Amon Ross, brother.
Yeah,
Equanimous.
they got E equals MC squared St. Brown.
Equanimous.
Equanimous.
Shout out to ex-Niner Dante Pettis.
Yeah,
also
Dante
on the
Pettis, kick
roster.
returner Dante Pettis, you
Yeah.
mean?
Oh, I love that.
Well, I want to get hot. And for
Let's
that,
get hot with it.
I want to channel my inner, my name is Earl, Jason Lee, Alvin and the Chipmunks. I want to say, Calvin Ridley, top 10 receiver this year for your Jacksonville Jaguars in
Love me for a second.
Duval
Y'all scary.
I
County.
came back. I
Y'all
came
scary.
back.
I had the hottest take.
Duval County.
Y'all scary.
No.
Y'all said
Calvin
top 10.
Ridley.
I
With
mean-
Trevor Lawrence at the helm, with Travis Etienne in the backfield,
No,
with
he is
Christian
prime.
Kirk in the slot. And let me remind you that Evan Ingram is on the team as well. They have the core offense to really make a deep playoff run, in my opinion. A young quarterback, veteran receiver. And I don't mean to call Calvin a veteran because he did miss some time for personal
He's a
reasons, and
betting
for gambling
veteran.
reasons. You know,
He's a betting veteran.
He's a betting veteran, right?
Except for personal reasons, he was gambling.
He's a bet. He's a bet vet.
But they check all the boxes when you go from running back to receiver to slot receiver. They have a lot of guys.
Evan Ingram got his payday
Yes,
just recently.
I think Calvin Ridley, he's missed some time. He's honestly missed the last 18 months of fantasy or of football in general. He's gonna make his statement. I think he's a top 10, a fringe top 10, but top 10 at that. He's a top 10 receiver this year in fantasy.
Let me comment on this because I do think Ridley is the most talented person in that offense. I think he has the most chance to break out. But all those people that you just named, those are the every single one of them is a reason why I don't think he won't be in top 10 because there's so many mouths to feed. They got Christian Kirk, like you said, Evan Ingram, you got ETN there. And Lawrence he spreads the ball around.
He does spread the ball.
So that's the only thing that I think is holding back Ridley because I think he's coming back with a vengeance. I think he's got a point to prove, right? He bet on games. He got a full year. You know how many people have done way worse things?
Right.
Gotten 3 to 6 games. He's got a point to prove this year, and that's why I think it's safe to bet on him because I think he's going to have a good year.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not the same as what he had in Atlanta before he was suspended, but I think he'll have a very similar year. But I worry about all the mouths to feed over there because Lawrence really spreads the ball. That's the thing that I'm worried about. And the thing with Fields, and we can talk about Pierce too, the thing about Fields, his accuracy is an issue. Is he going to get DJ Moore? Is he going to get those guys, St. Browns, the Darnell Moonies of the world? Is he going to get and Khalil Herbert, good pass catching back?
Yeah.
Is he going to get them, Komet? Is he going to get those guys the right touches and the right distribution, right? And then you even go over this. Here's the thing with the hot takes, right? There's always a downfall.
Mm-hmm.
There's always a downfall. Dameon Pierce, what are the Texans going to do this year? Right?
Like, what does their O-line look like
What
right now?
What are they going to do this year?
Play a lot
but
of
the thing
defense.
is that they had no O-line last year. They had no passing attack, and Dameon Pierce still put up those numbers.
Right.
So that's why I'm like, and then there's always a counter for every single one of those things. Justin Fields balled. They had a horrendous team last year.
Right.
Horrendous team last year. When he was on the Falcons, he was next up. He was going to take that Garrett Wilson hype. That's what Ridley was going to do. And then he got suspended. He was going to get that Ridley type of hype, or he was going to get that Garrett Wilson type of hype
That was when I
and
sent
take
it to
that
you.
next step. So
Thanks for that.
the thing with all three of our players is they're looking to take that next big step, which is cool. Like that's a little common denominator that we have. Because this next season, it's either they take that next step and become like in that elite type of category, or they kind of stay like above average. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And speaking of that next step, and speaking of Atlanta, you mentioned Calvin Ridley. Our draft is tomorrow. And a lot of people around here in this draft house think that Bijan Robinson might go first overall. So my question to the podcast, my question to you, does Bijan go first? And if not Bijan, then who?
Do you want to go first? I'll go. I'm ready. Bijan Robinson does not go first tomorrow. I was so strongly opinionated that he was going to go first tomorrow leading up to this weekend. And now I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, and I just feel something different a brewing.
And I'm going to interject for 1 second. Just as
Yes.
a reminder to the podcast and to our viewers, we're a
Good.
keeper league. And so Bijan
Yes.
Robinson, as it stands right now, is projected to be the number 1 overall pick. In most drafts, he wouldn't be. But for us, we all have 3 offensive keepers. So
Yes.
for us, Bijan is the top of the line. Fleet right back into your
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah.
The third round, we've kept 3 people. So it's almost like our first round is the 4th round.
A lot of the
Right.
a lot
Our
of
first
the
round's the
hardware
4th round,
is
right?
kept already.
I don't think Bijan goes first. You know who I think goes? Who I think he goes? He
Say
just
it.
recently let go of Ezekiel Elliott. I think Gucci's
Toilet
replaces
paper.
one running back with another, and he lets go of Ezekiel Elliott and goes Tony Pollard.
T-bait.
I think that'll be a
think
classic
Tony
case of
Pollard.
FOMO because while he saw Zeke decline, he had to watch Tony Pollard ascend. So at that point, it builds envy.
Yeah.
You feel me? Like
He's
it's
almost like I'm not missing out on this.
Yeah, you feel me? Like, because Dallas is a good running situation regardless. Their
Yeah.
O-line is like above average, definitely. And like they create a solid running game or a sustainable running game in terms of
Right.
fantasy.
Yeah.
So it's like, why not just pick up where you left off, where you were with Zeke, and now you're going to be at with Tony Pollard. So I could definitely see that. That would be definitely more of a passion pick. Like, I feel like you always have a passion pick within fantasy, whether it's an emotional connection to a player or a team. But like, yeah, there's always going to be that passion pick, and I would definitely
And the
take
thing
that.
is, this pod's gonna come out after the draft, so we'll see if we're correct. And
Yeah.
I'll put a little overlay and see like who he actually picked. I just don't see Gucci's
Oh.
going running back rookie.
It's like the
don't
unknown
see
abyss.
it.
He's never done that. He's never done that.
Just like last year. Bird had the first pick, and we thought he was all going absolutely in one direction. Draft time, boom.
And this man wanted to
Mm.
tell me.
Absolute 180.
This man wanted to tell me. his
Absolute
laptop glitched.
180.
to your final goal.
And look at us in Discovery Bay with the sun setting at the right place at the right time. This is Backyard Dynasty live from Discovery Bay. Thank you for watching today's episode. We love you. We'll see you next week. Draft results coming. Draft is tomorrow.
And some GM interviews, actually. So you won't see us next week. You might see us when we upload it. But
Right. I was so excited. The sunset has just distracted me. And
no, we're good. But we're going to interview some GMs, get some pre-draft thoughts, and then we'll kind of go from there, pre and post. And we'll see you guys on the next one. For Fleet,
Fancy,
Scanny.
We'll see you guys next time. Backyard Dynasty. Let's go, baby.